Wholesale Hotline. I'm Brent Daniels.
I'm Jamil Damji.
And I'm Jerry Norton.
And I'm Pace Morby.
Every week we bring you the best information on real estate investing.
Be sure to participate in the comments.
And subscribe.
Enjoy the show!
So thank you so much for calling Wholesale Hotline. That's it. Wow, that's great.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Wholesale Hotline. We are here with Evie Norton, one of my favorite Nortons. In fact, she might be number one out of the 10 kids that I like the most. We're also here with her sidekick. He's kind of like Robin to her Batman. This is Jerry Norton. We also have Jamil Damji, one of my mentors. Actually, both of my mentors are right here on the screen, guys. You are in for a wild treat. We have two of the best wholesalers on the planet. Me, I'm a close 570th best wholesaler on the planet. But right. You know what? I love real estate and I buy a lot. I wholesale, not as much as I used to, but I buy a lot from wholesalers and I'm holding a lot more properties nowadays. But that doesn't mean I don't know a thing or two. So today on Wholesale Hotline, we will cover all the things that you need based on the questions that you ask in the side chat. We have Jamil, looks like he's tuning in from Arizona at his new Arizona studio. And we have Jerry, who's tuning in from his farm in Tennessee. Now, what is new in the wholesale world, Jerry Norton? What do I need to know that's new regulation that's recently coming out or something that is going to be coming out in the next 30, 60, 90 days?
Well, the newest wave of regulation is on memorandums, the affidavit that we file, clouding title. So I'm working on a video, but Texas passed a law and a couple other states have passed a law. Oklahoma is another one. And then there's a bunch of bills. New York passed one, and then there's a bunch of bills in place. So it seems like that's the new hot button, is filing memos. And if you guys don't know, what wholesalers will typically do is once something's under contract is they'll cloud title with what's called a memorandum of affidavit. And that's basically just recording your notice that you have a contract in equitable interest. But what that does is it prevents the seller from backdooring you, the wholesaler, and selling to somebody else out from under you. And so it's been kind of a standard procedure that a lot of wholesalers do to just protect yourself from that happening. But what's happened here is a lot of scammers in wholesaling. They over contract with sellers. They go dark intentionally. They file the memo and then they wait. And what they're waiting for is that seller to realize that their buyer disappeared. They go find a new buyer. They contract with a legit wholesaler. And then title work gets done. The memo pops up. Title says, hey, we can't close this. There's title's clouded. And then you call up that shady scammer and you say, dude, what's going on? I need you to remove this. And he hijacks the transaction and says, give me $5 or $10 grand and I'll remove it. And they do this 10 times a month, right? So it's pretty bad. In fact, this happened to me with one of my partners, and we had a $28,000 assignment, and the memo popped up. We called up this dirt ball, and we said, dude, you got to remove this. And he said, yeah, for sure, $5 grand, and I'll remove it. And I said, absolutely not, and we'll go to court over this. And my partner was like, just give it to him. I want to close. We'll still make 22 or 23. Let's just get it done. And ultimately, that's what I let him decide, but that's what he decided. And it just ate me alive that we paid this guy $5 grand. For me, it was a principle thing. Like, no way are we letting this go. And what he did is he contracted it at retail. And then the seller said, yeah, he told me he'd give me my Zillow number. I signed with him. And then he disappeared. I tried calling him back. He never called me, never answered the phone. So that's what they're doing. They're intentionally doing this, Pace. So, the few ruin it for everybody else. So now memos are going to become a thing. If you're doing memos, you got a target on your back. Like, I would stop doing that if that's been something you do.
Yeah, let me show you guys what a memorandum looks like. I actually had to litigate against a memorandum a couple of years ago and do exactly what Jerry was talking about, which is we as legitimate investors go and we actually have the ability to buy these properties that wholesalers don't. And they don't go find a buyer. They don't have any credible proof of funds. They don't have any of that kind of stuff, which I get it. I'm not mad about it. But it does suck when they come to us and they go, this is what they file. Okay. This is an actual company, KBBS Development LLC. This is an actual company that filed an affidavit and memorandum for sale and purchase of real estate. And so what they're basically doing is they're saying, hey, this property right here with an APN or a lot number of blah, blah, blah. We have a contract to buy this property and we are going to lock this up as this company, KBBS. We are letting everybody know in Maricopa County that you cannot buy this house unless you go through us first. And so it continues to go through. It shows their purchase agreement, shows all that kind of stuff. Well, these companies, not necessarily this one, these people had to remove their memorandum because it was an illegitimate transaction. They do this intentionally. Okay. They do this intentionally. They basically, it's like putting handcuffs on the seller. So the seller can't go sell the house to somebody else. Okay. And so these sellers are handcuffed and they can't go and, sell the property to us unless we remove this memorandum, like Jerry said. Okay. We have two options. Option one is you pay these knuckleheads $5,000 or $10,000. Okay. These people tried to hold us hostage for $5,000 to $10,000. So what do? This is option B. I just get an attorney involved and I say, I'm not messing around. I hate people that file memorandums. I have filed memorandums, however, and I do think that there are legitimate times to file a memorandum, but it's very rare.
There are.
Usually the only time I've ever filed a memorandum is when a seller tries to cancel on me to go take a higher offer. That is an illegal, that is a breach of contract. And so I will handcuff them to abiding by the contract we signed, which means
go ahead, Pace.
I'm forcing them to honor the obligation to sell the property to me. And I am forcing them to allow me to do my job. The other memorandums that these people are signing are saying, we're going to handcuff you. We're not going to do our job of buying the house, and we're still going to keep you locked up. What's the other reason why I should be able to file a memorandum, Jerry?
Where we file them, and a legit reason to file one is when we release earnest money early before closing, which we're doing a lot more of that lately.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so let me paint a picture here. I'm curious to see if Jamil does this. Seller is in a bad situation financially. You're coming in and saying, hey, we will release some of the money from the sale to you early, but we want to protect ourselves and file a memorandum and handcuff you to this transaction. Okay. And you release the money to them, and then it makes it so they have no legal ability to sell the house to somebody else because they have now taken, received, deposited, and used on probably groceries or something.
Yeah.
They have used your money. And so you are tying them up on that transaction to make sure you still have the ability to recoup your investment. Any other reason why we'd file a memorandum, Jamil?
One of the interesting pieces that memorandums come into play a lot with is in direct to seller transactions. And the reason for it is because there's no licensed advocate in the middle really kind of giving people the lay of the land and explaining to sellers what their obligations and what the contract means and the law and all of the things, right? And so when you're in these unrepresented scenarios, I think that there's a lot of risk, right? There's risk in what Jerry's talking about when we release money to sellers because they need it for their current life circumstances or let's just say you're starting to spend a bunch of money. Right? When I'm doing projects and I have to go get permits, or if I'm going to do a lot split, or if I'm going to do some kind of background work, not specifically to the property, but maybe to the zoning or some other piece, or let's just say I start putting deposits down on cabinets and other things that I'm trying to order during my escrow once I'm fully committed to the deal, meaning I have non-refundable earnest money in, I've got a clear title, I know I'm closing, all of the things are lined up. So if I'm starting to really outlay cash, then in that instance, of course, I want to file a memorandum to protect myself because now I'm actually doing this deal, right? I'm in the deal. I'm doing the deal. I'm spending money on this. And so for that reason, I think I should feel some type of security. On the other side of it, it doesn't, Jerry, and you and I do a lot of deals with agents. This doesn't happen when
No.
agents are involved.
That's a
You
really
don't
good
ever-
point.
You don't
I don't
ever
think
need
I've
to
ever
do
really
it.
thought about that.
When
Because an
agents
agent's
are
never
involved,
going
it
to let a
doesn't happen.
backdoor situation happen, or they could lose their
Exactly.
license for that.
Exactly. This doesn't happen when you're working with real estate agents. And so, especially for beginners that are really navigating the waters of what sellers can do and how this all goes, having that advocate there is a really, really nice thing. Like I'm in a deal right now, agents involved in it. The seller is a squirrel, right? Like an absolute squirrel, very, very flip-floppity, all the things. One day wants to open the door, next day doesn't want to open the door. One day wants to do this, next day doesn't want to do this. It's madness, right? And if I was dealing with the seller specifically by myself, it's just so annoying, right? Because I had my entire crew show up at the house today to bid stuff out, and the seller just wasn't in a mood to let anybody in. And it's like, okay, well, this sucks, but this is what was really awesome about this. I called the agent and I explained to the agent, hey, like I took people off of job sites today. I lost an entire day's worth of work because I brought everybody to the house because you guys said you only wanted a 5-day inspection, which means I have to get everything done now. I'm working in the spirit of the deal and you're not, and you're allowing your client not to either. And that's not cool. And the agent took care of the whole thing. I ended up getting a message from the agent that said the seller is sorry. This won't happen again. We're going to extend the inspection period a couple of extra days for you because of what we've done here. They were worried that I was going to have some kind of legal repercussion for having lost a day's worth of work. I said, guys, I'm not here to like put you up against the wall and squeeze money from you or do something. That's not my intention. I just don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my workers' time, and I don't want to waste your seller's time. I want all of us to be able to do this, right? So there, and Pace, you missed this part, but I was saying to Jerry, one of the reasons why I think it's important, why people file memorandums is, let's just say you're working on a project and you start spending money, like, getting drawings done or having some type of surveys done or other things that may not be specifically improving the property, but you're spending money to move your project forward during escrow. In that instance, I would want to file a memorandum because I don't want to be out $20,000, $30,000 in fees or in costs because my seller, decides to flip-flop on me at the end. So,
one of the bills that I was reading about this, I actually thought they had a great idea, and that was just to have the seller also agree and sign the affidavit. And I think that's great because then you have this conversation with the seller. They know that you're going to file in cloud title and they're agreeing to it. Now everybody knows about it, because what happens is sellers don't even know this is happening. And so now they know, now they agree, they sign to it. And you would have to have an explanation and say, look, I'm releasing an earnest money early, or for whatever reason, we're going to file this. This is just going to protect, maybe you explain to them, there's been times where I've been backdoored and this is just to really make sure we're committed to this deal. So we're going to file this. Here's what it means. But so I think that would solve a lot of these problems, as if sellers actually knew about it and agreed to it.
Okay. So this is an interesting thing because my memorandum, I've always written in my purchase and sell agreement in a paragraph, it says I can and will file a memorandum, and I make sure the seller initials that, and I verbally go through that with the seller saying, hey, this is an important step for me, and here's why. And this is when I did file a memorandum, this is how I would do it. Seller had notice, not only in the contract, but they also had notice by me or one of my acquisition guys verbally. Seller acknowledged it, but I explained my memorandum as a way to protect myself from other people. So I said, look, and this is exactly how I pitched it. I'm so serious about closing this transaction that I want the world to know. So if other investors come along and look at your house and they want to start calling and cold calling you, et cetera, I want to basically mark my territory and say, I am 100% closing this transaction. And so would you be okay if I let the world know that I'm closing this transaction by filing this memorandum that shows I have a purchase agreement on it? And the sellers every time were like, of course, yeah, do the thing. So I feel like that's the way it should be done.
Yeah.
But
probably what'll happen, Pace, is it'll become an addendum to your contract, and it'll be one more signature and it'll be signed at the same time as your contract.
I 100% am all on board with that, all day long. I think 99% of memorandums that are being filed, 99% of them are being filed incorrectly, and they're being abused because, I think most of these are like wholesalers that are watching YouTube videos, or they're like watching TikToks or what have you, and they're getting educated very slimly. Like you look at I will look at the TikTok wholesale videos, and I'm like, everything that this kid just said on a wholesale video is correct. However, it's 0.1% of what you need to know to actually go at wholesale transactions.
And it's so bad too, because it's just so, I don't know. I can't stand it.
And I get it. Like, it's basically the bait that you need to pull somebody in to potentially teach them the rest. But most people's attention span are like, they're not going to go from TikTok to YouTube and then have a pen and paper and go, let me take notes.
That's the other thing, Pace. If someone's getting backdoored often, then you're doing a very poor job managing seller expectations and the process and communication. Like, you really shouldn't be getting backdoored very often. That should be a very rare thing. And if you're not communicating,
well, Jerry, just to be clear, I've never been backdoored. Okay.
No, and the only reason why you should get backdoored often is if you really like it.
Exactly that's my point. I think the word of the day is backdoor. Okay. So guys, check your back door. Make sure you are constantly watching it. Okay. So check this out. Our property finally has grass, by the way. Check this out.
Wow,
Jerry, bro, this is a magical wonderland now that we have grass, but it is full of grizzly bears. Like, we literally have grizzly dumps the size of like a flying saucer.
You know why,
everywhere.
A bear is probably like a dog. A dog doesn't want to poop on the hard surface. It wants to poop on carpet.
Dude, it's like
Bears are probably the same. They probably see your nice green grass and they're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna lay a big dump on that nice grass."
They just backdoored all over my grass. It's freaking horrible.
Oh my God. It's too funny.
So what states are under attack from wholesale, or is it everywhere?
Well, I mean, we've got regulations coming out all the time. There's a couple bills that seem like they're stalled out, which is great. West Virginia had a horrible one. They called it the anti-wholesale, act. But that one died. So I don't know if they'll redo a new version, tone it down a bit, reintroduce it. But I mean, Oklahoma's just launched their new one. I think November 1st, that one goes in effect. And I mean, I tell people this. I say, listen, if your state where you transact does not have regulation right now, they're probably working on it. There's probably a bill somebody's working on, and you're going to see it in the next year or two. So just gear up for it. Like, it's coming.
Okay, so Super World Event says, you teach people how to illegally cloud titles. We are literally teaching the opposite of that for the last 18 minutes straight. We have literally said exactly the way that a member. Now, here's even better. We have had 3 attorneys on this show that actually talk about memorandums exclusively for an hour and a half. From an attorney's perspective, that's all they do is real estate attorney law. Now, we have brought them on the show, and we have had them file our memorandums for them or for us, and then they are also the ones that fight the memorandums that are done illegally. So, my friend, whatever your name is, it's got to be Backdoor. Your name's probably Backdoor. Backdoor Bob, whatever your name is. We have literally taught the opposite of that. And we love teaching people how to do things the right way. I think the regulation needs to come in around the memorandums. I think it's been done incorrectly for years and years and years.
They call them, if you ever look up these, they call them unfair service agreements. They don't call them, that's what they call them in the bills and laws. And where this originally came from was real estate agents were filing memos on their listing agreements. And I read this article, I forget what state it was. I think it was New York. These memos that agents would file were like lifelong, like they did not expire, and they like survived errors and everything. I mean, they would file a memo, and that seller could never sell that property again unless that agent got paid their commission.
Yeah.
So this didn't even come from wholesalers. This came from the real estate agent world. Which, dude,
that agent that created that thing, it became an endemic on the East Coast, and then it finally made its way over to the West Coast about 5 years ago. Yeah, look at this. Landon, good to see you, brother. He says, we have a deal with one from MV Realty. I don't know who MV Realty is. Is that a big one?
I don't know.
But yeah, most of the memorandums that are being filed illegally are actually being done by agents who, what's funny is they all go to this lady. There's this lady in the East Coast that teaches agents how to do this. She charges $60,000 for a 3-day seminar. They go out there for 3 days. They learn all the terminology, all the contracts. They come back and they go knock doors. They give these people like $500. And it basically makes it so they took their money. There ain't no way they're getting out of these contracts. They are written so well. So there you go. AZ made all MV Realty memos illegal. That's freaking awesome. Chris, do you have Chris Gett, it's good to see you, brother. Always love seeing you. Him and Landon are partners and they do a bunch of stuff together. They just bought a flooring company on Creative Finance. So let's give it up for them. Awesome. I just know I have a clause 9 to get out of your deal. I don't even, who is this?
Super World Events. Are they talking about me or who are they talking about?
There's no way they're talking about me because here's what I have under contract right now. I have 3 car washes under contract. I shouldn't say car washes. I have 3 pieces of land that we are going to build car washes on under contract. I have 3 RV parks. Maybe it's my RV parks, but I don't have a memorandum on them. We're just under contract and there's a broker on 2 of them. So I doubt that's happening.
I have one agent deal under contract right now. It just got executed today. So Super World Events, I don't think you're talking about me.
Maybe
I got to look at what clause 9 is in my contracts.
I don't know.
I have a clause. Just so you just know, I have clause 9 to get out of your deal. Okay. Super World Events, will you help us out? Now I want to be a detective. Now you've got my attention. I need to know. We need to know. Okay. Looking to start out with between a $7,500 to $10,000 to get my first deal. Been studying you guys for about 2 years, working full-time in medical, trying to be wise with funds. How should I go about it? First and foremost, do not spend $1 on anything on your first deal. I would go bird dog, or as Jamil calls it, Astro Flipping. I'd go do a JV deal with somebody else. There's 1,000 people. Dude, this person, I'm just telling the truth, people.
But be specific then, Super World. Let us help us understand. Help us help you.
Are you guys not now interested in who the heck this is and what they're doing?
It's interesting when somebody doesn't come and show their name and they just make a fake thing, and it's like, okay, bro, thanks.
Yeah.
What are you burning, Jamil?
Palo Santo. I'm trying to get the negative energy off the chat. Shush. Get out of here. Woo,
I thought it was a peace pipe we were gonna pass around.
Oh no. Just
okay, so
Palo Santo, you know what I'm saying?
April Elias, who I was just texting, love her. She's amazing. April Elias, her and I were just going back and forth on a couple of questions she had. She said, I just bought my last deal from a bird dog. Okay. I also, what was the largest assignment fee you guys have ever seen?
Oh, $267,000.
Ooh, that's good.
But it was on a big piece of land. It was a huge piece of land, and it was developers were involved. It was a whole thing, but that's the biggest I've ever seen. How about you?
What about you, Jerry?
We did one 6 months ago. About 6 months ago. That was 120. I mean, it was a novation, but it was 120.
Okay, you want to see the biggest one I've ever seen ever?
Let's see it.
Are you ready? And what's funny is I turned it down. Two of the Subto students just, I want to pull it up and show it to you guys. Split this much money between the 2 of them right here.
Ooh, 750.
Holy crap, Ola!
$750,000.
That's commercial for you. You can't do that in residential. Do that in commercial though.
Okay, so here's what's cool is that they are going to come in next week. I have a challenge that we are doing. I'll give you guys
read that. correctly, you passed on that pace?
It's in a market I don't even touch. So they saw it on my buy box.
You passed as the buyer, you're saying.
I passed as the buyer, yeah. So they brought it to me on a Subto family night. They had under contract Adam Curry and Mr. Chalmers. They had it under contract. I go, guys, that's not even my market. And I said, here's the list of Ohio buyers. They found the Ohio buyer. They obviously double closed on that freaking thing.
I actually love that they double closed on that and didn't do it by assignment, because now the buyer is going to record at the price they paid for it. And that's going to help them tremendously in financing and other aspects of it. And so when it's that big of a fee, which of course I think they're entitled to, if they were able to create that kind of value and they found a buyer that was very interested and closed on it based off of the numbers, as with the $750,000 fee on it, I think that's phenomenal. And that happens in commercial all the time. All the flipping time on big multifamily deals, big commercial deals, $1 million assignments, $1 million fees. All of that is very, very, very normal.
Yes, we are going to have them come in. We have a challenge next week. It's a multifamily challenge. I've got another 24-plex under contract at 0% seller finance. Chaz Johnson, we will explain double closing here in a couple of minutes. I will be breaking down for 4 days multifamily, how to wholesale it, how to find it, how to negotiate it, how to do creative finance with it. We will be doing that for 4 days next week. Last month, we had an RV park challenge, 10,000 people RSVP'd for that. 7,000 people came and joined us on it. It was insane. So, if you guys want to come join the multifamily challenge we are doing next week, it's called Bigger is Better. Don't listen to what your wife says. Okay. Bigger is better. I know she's being nice to you.
Are you talking to me?
No.
Oh.
You have 10 children. I think you are doing just fine. So, Bigger is Better challenge. Link is in the side chat. Come hang out with us or DM me the word multi, M-U-L-T-I, and we will break it all down and help you out. Dennis Brooks, I want to save you some time. Please don't do a novation agreement, Dennis. I don't like novation agreements, nor should you. The right thing to do is to do an agreement for sale or a land contract, something along those lines. Go into the Subto vault and type in executory contract. I don't like novation agreements. I like other things better. Novation agreements are fine, but I give them a 7.1 on the deal scale. I give an executory contract.
Tell us why. What about novations isn't your favorite?
A novation basically doesn't even really give you any sort of ownership or any claim to title whatsoever. It basically is just saying, I'm in a temporary partnership with you, the seller. Let's say the seller changes their mind. Let's say the seller dies. Let's say if anything happens during that transaction, the seller can change their mind and you have to now sue the seller because the transaction type that you're in is a temporary partnership. An executory contract means I actually have temporary ownership, not a partnership. I have temporary ownership that cannot be refuted unless the seller sues me. In a novation agreement, I would have to sue the seller. In an executory contract, the seller would have to sue me, incurring costs on their side. Novation agreements are just not quite as safe as an executory contract. I know these are words that a lot of newbies don't know. So if you want to learn more about them, type in Jerry, Norton, Pace, Morby, Creative Finance, and you'll see a whole playlist on all sorts of great things, creative finance. Go check those out. Let's go to...
Also, Pace, novations have a very high contract fallout rate because, like you mentioned, if the spread is very big at all, the seller loses their mind and ends up unwinding the whole thing.
Yeah. So I'll give you
it's like 15 grand or something, then it's fine. But if they get anywhere big at all, then they typically have a real problem with that.
I'll give you a good example. So DJ Martin, okay, the first novation agreement that had ever been done in our Subto community was day one of the day we launched Subto, June 2nd, 2020. Okay. He comes in, he says, Pace, I jumped into the contracts. I'm like, bro, we just launched the community 2 hours ago. What are you talking about? He goes, I looked in the contracts. I got this house under contract in a novation agreement. I'm like, no, can you go back? Let's go back. I shouldn't even have given you that stupid thing. And he says, well, I think it's going to be fine. Long story short, I have to quarterback the whole entire deal. We have to get an attorney involved. Why? Because DJ Martin made $80,000 on a novation agreement. And when the seller saw this, the seller refused to sign the final documents when they were selling the property. In an executory contract, the seller has no ability to do anything after I've done that deal. Done, finito, they're out of the way. So I can make as much money as I want. Jamil, let's talk about double closing and when double closing is appropriate. Chaz Johnson needs to know.
Well, double closing is pass-through escrow. It's essentially two different transactions, right? There's an A-B transaction and there's a B-C transaction. Typically, the reason why a double close happens is one of two reasons. First, you are trying to keep all of the parties separate from each other, right? So if you are double closing, what ends up happening is the buyer that you're selling your property to or the subject property to doesn't end up on any settlement statement that the seller sees. What does that mean? That means that all of the money that's made, everything that's happening within the first transaction or the second transaction aren't disclosed to either party. And so what's beautiful about a double escrow is you can still use the funds from your final buyer to close your first transaction, the A to B transaction, and you make the money in between. Now, why double closings aren't typically done is because they require you to pay two sets of closing costs, meaning you're going to have a lender or a seller's policy that you're going to pay for on your A to B. You're going to have closing costs, escrow fees, recording fees that you're going to pay for A to B, and then your buyer is going to pay one on B to C. Buyers get very upset when you double close and stick them with two escrows worth of closing costs. They're not interested in paying two escrows worth of closing costs. They'll be okay with paying one. They'll pay the closing costs from BC, but they're not going to want to pay the closing costs from AB. So double closes typically are only used when your spread, when the amount of money that you're making is significant. And that keeps people from getting squirrely at the settlement table. It keeps people from walking away because they get in their feelings about the profits that are being made. It also keeps all of the parties separate. Now, the other piece that makes this, I think, superior at some level to assignments is the recorded price that deal ends up closing on is the actual amount of money that the buyer paid, right? And for a buyer who's going to flip this property, it's really important that that gets reflected somewhere, because what ends up happening when you do assignments that are really big, Brent loves to do $70,000, $80,000 assignments, which of course I'm happy for him when he makes it. But what ends up happening to the buyer who buys that with an $80,000 assignment fee, it records at the contract price that Brent paid for the deal, right? And so that contract price is typically a really good deal, a really good price. Now, when that guy goes to flip that house, the appraiser who is looking at what's happening here, he sees that tax record recording at the price that Brent paid, not the price that the guy who's flipping it paid. And the lenders get really, 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 really hard to deal with on that appraisal, because they're trying to beat your value down as much as they can. Because of course there was $70,000 or $80,000 of value that was extracted from the wholesaler on that fee, on that first escrow. So I think double closing really helps your buyer out, but you're going to pay significant fees for that to happen. So the reason why most people only do it when there's big spreads is because if they're going to have to shoulder that amount of money to be paid in closing costs, you need to have a ton of money in there for that to be able to be absorbed.
Yeah, a company that does this a lot is is it New Western or Great Western?
New Western.
New Western does it, and it's you've seen it, Pace. You've seen
if somebody sends me a deal that's from New Western, I won't even look at it.
I won't buy it because you're going to pay $15,000 in junk fees.
Yeah, and look, I don't mind people making their money, but when I know that your policy is to make me pay for all the closing costs on top of my fee, like I'm like, you greedy sons of guns. I just want to do business with them. There's plenty of deals, so I don't care.
We just did a double closing Pace. This was a student deal. They found the deal. We JV'd and found the buyer for them. And then it was only a $12,500 spread on the wholesale. But the student came back and said, look, I really think we need to double close this. And I said, okay, well, why? It's only 12.5. We should just be able to do an assignment here. And she said, well, it's an agent. It was off market. So it was a pocket listing. And with this agent, this student had 3 other deals also in the works that she already had buyers for. And so she said, I'm really worried that if this agent sees my assignment fee, they're going to be upset. I don't want to jeopardize my other deals. And I said, look, we should be able to work through this. It's not that big a deal. I can explain this to the agent. You know, like, we don't really need to double close it. Why pay double closing fees? And she said, I'll pay the fees. And we did the transactional funding. She's like, I'll pay all of that out of my side. I just really don't want this agent to see my assignment fees. I said, okay, if that's important to you, then let's do that. But you know, that's a scenario when you really don't want all the parties to see what's going on there. The double closing creates those barriers between each closing. And so during that second BC transaction, like Jamil explained, they have no idea what just took place 5 minutes earlier or the day before, whatever, on the first closing, right? Because that was a separate closing. So they don't know what it was actually bought for the day before. And they have no idea like what fee you made on the spread there.
The other, I wanted to add this, and I failed to mention this earlier, Pace, when you asked when it's appropriate to double close or what it's used for. Also, for you wholesalers that are having a hard time getting your contracts to be assignable, because a lot of contracts have verbiage in it for assignability, and agents tend to strike that when they get frustrated with wholesale. So they strike the assignability clause. Now no assignments are allowed. Well, that doesn't mean you can't wholesale the property. It means that you can't assign it. And so you can still do a wholesale deal, but you'll need to double close. That's the other reason that people do double closes.
Bank properties have that too, where there's no assignments allowed. Like if it's an REO or a short sale or whatever, you can't assign those either.
Correct.
All right. So John Bay says, should you use the same title company or 2 different title companies when double closing, Jamil?
Well, funny. Is that Yarzan? Yarzan he's a pretty sophisticated investor. Even knowing that you can use 2 different title companies on a transaction is a pretty advanced strategy. I've done it before. Coordinating that is like it's a nightmare. It's like having to be a quarterback in a football game on a Super Bowl football game, because you've got to make sure everybody's exactly where they've got to be. You got to be getting docs from one to the next. It's an orchestra. It's an orchestra of major proportions, but it can absolutely be done. I would never want to do another one of those again. It was probably the worst heartburn I've had in a transaction. I like keeping everything at one title company because it just keeps it all straight, but you can absolutely do 2 title companies. Man, oh man, will that ever be a headache though?
Okay, so here's a great thing about double closes. So somebody in the side chat says, should I get a transaction coordinator involved in my double closes? You don't need a transaction coordinator to do a deal. You should have one. It makes your life easier. It's kind of like, can I ride a bicycle with flat tires? Yeah, you can, technically. It just makes it easier if you have air in the tires, right? A transaction coordinator makes every transaction go so much more smoothly. And honestly, if you've ever tried to ride a bike with flat tires, it really does feel like that without a TC. Jerry uses TCs. Jamil has multiple TCs on his team. I have 4 TCs on my team. That is how much I value them. One of my good friends, April Elias, in the side chat, she says, I'd rather pay good people, get good transactional lenders and good TCs to make it happen smoothly. I saw April in New Jersey a couple of weeks ago. Spent the whole day with her. We went to Manhattan, had a good time with her 2 boys and my videographer, Adler. And she was talking about how she tips her TCs sometimes when they don't charge her enough money, because she's making hundreds of thousands of dollars on her flips. She's making really good money on her projects. And she's like, when they do a good job, I throw them an extra $200 or $300 sometimes, because they undercharge based on the value that they bring to the table. So the answer is yes. When you run into the professional level of this game, you are paying people for what they bring to the table for you. John Bay says, Dorina is the best. I just was with Dorina in Minnesota. Okay. TC versus using or not using a realtor is if you already have the house and can use the seller's agent. Interesting question. I think what Frank is saying, to be frank, should I use a TC if I'm using a real estate agent to sell my house?
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I think the seller's agent has their own TC. What are you going to say, Jamil?
I think that he's trying to save some money and is saying, hey, I can leverage the real estate agent to do the documents for me. I don't necessarily need to pay somebody a few $100s to do that. And he's right. In most cases, when you're working with a real estate agent and they're representing you, if you're doing like the double dip method or something like that, then of course the agent becomes the transaction coordinator at some level. And so I think that absolutely can suffice. But I've also seen agents drop the ball big time. And if you're wholesaling a deal, even if you've got an agent on your buy side, like they're representing you and getting the deal, who's managing your buyer? Who's managing the buyer, making sure that they've got their documents in play, that they've got their lender in play? I mean, how many times has my transaction coordinator saved a deal because they call a buyer 4 or 5 days prior to close and say, hey, we haven't heard from your lender yet. You do realize you're closing this on Friday. It's Tuesday, and there's been no communication. Oh, crap, I'm closing on Friday? Yeah, no problem. I'll get on it right away. If that call never had happened, then that buyer wouldn't have been able to close on time. And so transaction coordinators are also there just to keep the deal flowing, things going, keep people aware. If they notice that there's going to be a lag in closing because of a lien that hasn't been taken off or some other thing, they get in front of it. There's so much value that comes from a transaction coordinator who's proactive, that can go out and do things. I've even seen some transaction coordinators get involved in removing liens and getting the negotiated settlements reduced and things of that nature. The more sophisticated your transaction coordinator is, the better and bigger of a value they bring to the table. I think they're awesome.
And it's like a all or nothing thing. Like you're not going to use a TC on some things and then not others. I mean, once you go down that road and you get a TC, you'll realize how much better your life is, and you'll give them all your transactions. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, well, I'll have the TC do these ones, but there's an agent involved in this one, so I'll take that one. You know what I mean? Like if you commit commit to it, and you're not going to go back.
I have a lot to say about that. That's a really, really good point. Let me answer this question for Gabe Hoff. Okay. Hoffmeister. In the side chat, I just gave everybody a nationwide buyers list. Now, this is a good list, not a great list. This list is about a year old. If you want a new, fresh list, go spend some money on PropWire. Go to propwire.com/Jerry has 10 kids.
That's not it.
The link is in the side chat. You can. There's like 1,000 buyers on that list. It's a free list. If you are in Subto, I give a fresh list every month for a nationwide buyers list for free. I even skip trace that list for you guys in Subto. But if you're not in Subto, there's a freebie for you. Happy to give that kind of stuff too. Okay, so good comment in the side chat from my friend Dorina. She says, I did my last Subto file as TC and received a $1,000 tip. TCs are a game changer for investors. Now all my deals are done by our team, the TC Collective. Pace's team are the best, smartest, and kindest. Dorina, you are freaking amazing. By the way, her license plate, do you guys want to see what her license plate says on it?
Subto baddie?
Close. Let's see. I'll pull it up. I'll show it to you guys. This girl is one of my favorite human beings.
Or
she
like,
is so.
How about like is she Ukrainian or Russian?
She's Ukrainian that speaks Russian and married a Belarusian who speaks Russian to her. So her and him speak Russian together. They speak Russian to their child, but she speaks Ukrainian as her first language.
I think her license plate says, I'm Ukrainian. Don't you mess with me.
That's her attitude, actually. So this is Dorina. She's freaking amazing. And check out her license plate.
Subto.
This was her meetup last week, by the way, in Minnesota. We had like 200 people show up. It was really, really cool. Okay. Sam says, I don't know where to start. I'm in St. Louis, and I don't think this is a good market. St. Louis is a phenomenal market.
Great market.
I'm on my second week learning the business. What should I do to get the ball rolling? Sam, here's what I would do. Go watch Pace, type in Pace Morby Avatar on YouTube. Paste Morby avatar and get avatared all over that. Okay. Too far or no?
Here's
Okay.
what I want to just say something about the comment there. And brother, please take this the right way. I'm trying to be as kind and helpful to you as possible. You're in your second week, my friend. You're on your second week. You can make no generalizations at this point. Nothing that you've done in 1 week is an example of what this is going to be like. And so if you weren't having good conversations, or if things felt a little bit clunky to you and hard and off, that doesn't have anything to do with the market. That has to do with your level of skill right now. So give it time, mature at this, go take some time with it and enjoy yourself. St. Louis is a phenomenal market and you'll crush it there. Just let it do its thing, unfold with learning and enjoy the process. And I'm sure you'll kill it.
Also, Jamil and I will be on a nationwide tour called Creative Nation Tour. Go to creativenationtour.com if you guys want to stop by a 2-hour meetup that Jamil and I will be doing 109 cities in 122 days. Along the path, I will be killing a turkey in Jerry Norton's backyard. There is guaranteed, I might even have to snap that little sucker's neck with my bare hands. Okay. But what we are doing is in every city, in every market. And guess what? St. Louis is on that city list. Go to creativenationtour.com. It does also work on Android. You just have to blow on the bottom of the phone like a Nintendo cartridge, like, and then there's a little crank on the side. You got to, go to creativenationtour.com. You will see Jamil and I. What we are doing is at these meetups, my friends, in a 2-hour time frame, we are going to be pairing you up with leaders in our community, and they will be putting you on their team to make sure you submit offers and get conversations going, and contracts will be done in a 2-hour time frame. So if you're like, I want to see how this business works start to finish, I want to see how it works, I don't want to be on YouTube anymore. Sometimes there's weirdos in the side chat. We agree. Sometimes there are weirdos in the side chat, but those weirdos still come to the meetup. So just so you know, you can't get rid of, there's always 1 or 2 weirdos. I did a 1-hour Zoom this morning. Can I tell you guys what the Zoom was about? I do a jam session every day in Subto right now, 130 days in a row. I'm doing a 2-hour jam session. So I just bring everybody in, we jam, I call sellers, I call attorneys, I just fix people's problems myself. Instead of like sending them to a video, I'm like, yo, give me your biggest problem. Let's solve it right now. And I could not stop talking about the people in this world that don't know they can turn right on red. Have you ever been stuck behind these people?
What?
Have you ever been stuck behind these kind of people?
Yeah.
And you're just like, go. You can turn right, and then you pass them, right? They turn right, you turn right, you pass them up, and you look over at them like, okay, you must be 16. Like you must have just gotten your driver's license, because there's no way in hell that a normal person on this planet doesn't know you can turn right on a red hand light. Or you can turn right even though it's red. You can do that in all 50 states, including Puerto Rico and Canada. Okay. You can turn right on red. And the analogy I was using is that you're just going to run into stupid people from time to time. And there's nothing you can do to solve it. I pull up next to this person. It's a dude, 40 something years old. I look at the guy. And I'm like, how have you lived 24 years plus with a driver's license and you never knew you could turn right on red? Okay, my point in this is some people are very resourceful and some people are clueless. They're clueless in life. The question popped up where somebody says to me, they go, she's Indian, she lives in Germany. She was super sweet. She comes and raises her hand. She goes, Pace, I get discouraged because I talk to some people that say this is really hard. Then I talk to other people and they say this is really easy. I don't know who to believe. And so I said, did you know that you can turn right on a red hand, or you can turn right on a red light? And she says, yeah, even in Germany, you can do that. I'm like, okay. Have you ever been stuck behind an idiot who stays there until the light turns green? She goes, oh my gosh, it's the worst. I go, okay, those are the people that think this business is hard. Don't you want to avoid those people at all costs? She goes, yes. So everybody in the side chat, if you are new to wholesaling, hang out with people that know you can turn right on red. The smart people, the people that just are resourceful and just freaking get it. Change your friendship group. It's going to be by far the number one upgrade you will do in your life. By far the number one upgrade. Jerry, I get a really interesting text message from you yesterday.
From me.
You're like, it was Sunday, Pace. I did not text you.
I probably did.
Your wife texted me, and I just want to do something today. I just want to tell everybody in the whole world that I love you all, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have great friends. I'm grateful to know that I don't want to turn this into a religious thing, but I want to just turn this into a religious thing for a second. I am so grateful for the way I was raised. I'm grateful for the friends that I've made. I'm grateful for the church that I went to. And even though my church was under attack yesterday, the Mormon church, I am Mormon, or LDS as we are called, I know that church was the reason why I am honorable in all my transactions. I return home every day with honor. I help people as much as I possibly can. Yesterday, I'm in a group chat. And I'm in that group chat with Jerry, Jamil, my wife, Jerry's wife, and Jamil's wife. That's called manifesting, Jamil, just so you know. And that church that was attacked yesterday was a church that you and your family used to attend, that exact church building that was blown up and people were shot and killed in this church yesterday. Is that correct?
That's my childhood church that I went to from when I was 8 years old all the way up until, 15 years married. Our third son, Jonathan, Emery's water broke in that building. We went to the hospital, had the baby. I mean, we did Boy Scout campouts there. There's a lake out back. My entire childhood was at that building. It's crazy. Wow. I know the people that died, and I've been texting friends that were in the building when it all went down. I mean, it really hit home that yesterday.
And I hate to say this, but like when other people, I'll be honest and transparent. Maybe this is a weakness in me, but when there's killings all over the world all the time, but I don't know those people, right? I don't know them. It's easy for me to not pay attention to it. And I think we're all a little bit guilty of this. Maybe I'm just as guilty as anybody else. Maybe I'm more guilty. I don't know. I care. I pay attention, but then I move on to my next day. This really shook me as somebody who went to church every single Sunday without fail for 25 straight years until I started traveling a lot on Sundays. Every single Sunday, the friends I made, the things I learned, the culture I picked up, the work ethic, all of those things, these churches really stand for something powerful in our country. And this isn't just Mormons, this is Catholics, this is everybody, right? These places of worship, these places of collaboration, these places of us being with each other, right? A mosque, even if you're, different religion, doesn't matter to me. But it is interesting that evil is attacking the good so strongly nowadays, and it is getting worse and worse and worse. I just want you guys to know, everybody here today, I will, for the rest of my life, fight to provide good, valuable information to you on a daily, a weekly basis. I don't care your skin color. I don't care how tall you are, how short you are. I don't care your religious background. I don't care your sexual preference. I don't care any of that stuff. This is a place that we don't attack each other. And today I sadly had to kick somebody out of the side chat that was attacking somebody in the side chat. Guys, we just don't tolerate hate anywhere near our ecosystem. I just had to kick them out, which is why I'm going on this rant. And you'll see this from time to time, that these people find their way into our live stream and then they start attacking people and they start doing whatever else. Guys, I don't care who you are, where you are, what you are. These three men right here, We love you. We appreciate you. The valuable time you took away from your family tonight. We are trying to give you something to take back home to that family that you are taking time away from. We want to give you a return on your time investment. For those of you guys that are just showing up for the first time, my name is Pace. This is Jerry. This is Jamil. These are my mentors. You are learning from some of the best people in the wholesale, fix and flip, and real estate investing world ever. You will find people that will try and attack Jamil, Jerry, me, Brent, what have you. Expect it. We kick them out and we move on. Why am I saying this? Because right after I kicked this person out 4 minutes ago, somebody asked me, why did you kick that person out? We don't tolerate it, guys. We are all here to just improve your lives and make things a little bit better. So I also am the one that runs the side chat. So if you guys have questions, please fill up the side chat with your questions. We'll continue to answer those as we go through. We had a couple of people give us money today. I have no idea where that money goes. Okay. So when you, like yours on, you gave us 99 cents. Somebody received 99 cents. I have no idea where that went.
Pace,
but
you know something too, just to kind of add to that thought. I kind of feel like, when you're in the space and you're doing education, in our case, it's real estate education. It's not about how to do deals. I mean, we just broke down like double closings and all this stuff. It's not about that. Really, I think what's great about what you two do for others and I try to do for others is help people take accountability for their life. All of this is just an accountability thing. It's like, I want something better. I dream of something better. And how do I go create something better in my life? And I think we see all of this evil and people willing to kill another person because you disagree with them. And, it's people not taking accountability for their life. And if we can help people do that, and in this case, it's financial accountability mostly, I think a lot of other things come from it, but it's like, how do I step up, take more ownership over the life I live, create more, have more, do more, be more, give more? How do I be that type of person in the community and in the world? If all of us, everyone listening to this, if we're all striving to do that, man, the ripple effect, the 10 times 10 times 10, all the people that you impact, it makes a difference. It matters. It's not just this small little thing about wholesaling or real estate or whatever. We're talking about people's lives and helping people really step up and take that ownership over what you do. And it's nobody else's fault. Nothing that happens to you or me is because somebody made you do it, right? Or because somebody disagrees with you. We have to all own our choices and step up and make better choices.
This is interesting. I have a question for you. A man with 10 children. And then I have a question for you, Jamil, about the energy of hate and why do you think people have that energy and where that comes from? I'm going to come to you with that in a minute. Jerry, how many children do you have, brother?
10.
Okay, so you have 10 children.
Dad, no twins.
Okay, you are a creator of human beings, which is awesome. Okay. And would you agree that all of your children have a different height perspective when looking at their father? You have Evie, who we saw at the beginning of the show. She's not as tall as Josh. Josh is not the same height as Gracie, who I love Gracie so much. All of your kids look at their father with just a little bit different perspective. Would you agree with that?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody explained this to me a couple of weeks ago, and it almost made me cry. They said, we all have a father, okay, our creator, whether it's Jesus or whatever it is. We all look at him with a different lens. We all look at him, we communicate him differently. Just like if I asked Josh, please describe your father to me, or I asked Evie, please describe your father to me, or I asked any one of your children, will you please explain or describe your father to me? Would we agree that all of your children would give a little bit different of an answer?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And this person describes this to me as like, well, this is the difference between Christians and Catholics and this and that and X, Y, and Z. And we all love the same father and we all benefit from this beautiful world that was created for us. But we all look at it a little bit differently because of where we come from in the world. Mm-hmm. Guys, I don't care what religion you are. I do not care what religion you are, as long as you are in the religion of more love, more adoration, more respect, more everything. I want more, just like Jerry just said. And so when we look at religions and we look at where people come from, I don't judge Jerry's children based on how they described their father. That's their truth. That's where they are. In fact, their little boy, what's your littlest boy's name?
Lincoln.
Okay, Lincoln Log, as we call him, or Stinky Linky sometimes. He's not even at an age yet where he can completely speak. And so he speaks a completely different language. And if you said, please describe your father to me, he'd have a hard time doing so. And so, guys, everybody comes with a different language in describing their own father who are in heaven. Everybody has a little bit different flavor and style. So just understand. See, like Jessica Castellan says, is Jerry Christian or Mormon? This is an interesting question, which I won't go down the road of, but it's actually the same thing, Jessica.
Yeah.
We believe that Jesus is our Savior and died on a cross for our sins. We believe in Jesus Christ. And the only difference between Mormons and other Christians is not that we believe in Jesus or we don't believe in Jesus. The only difference is how we describe him, which is we believe that Jesus, Heavenly Father, which is God, and the Holy Ghost are three separate people. Other religions believe that it's one person, the Holy Trinity, so to speak. But I can tell you one thing. When you go to the pearly gates of heaven, they are not going to judge you based on whether you believe Jesus was part of a three-figure head or the Son of God or all the same person. They will not let you in or not let you in based on that description. Okay, we are Christian. And we believe that Christ is our Redeemer and our Savior. Now, if you don't have that belief, I still love you. You're my brother, you're my sister, whoever you are, I do not care. Mormons do consider themselves Christians. And that was a lot of hate spewed on X over the weekend, just people blasting Mormons for not being Christian. Guys, we believe that Christ is our Savior, just like you guys believe Christ is your Savior as well. So not a lot of a difference.
And even if that were true, Pace, who cares? It's a place of worship, and we're in a free country, and you should feel safe to go worship wherever and however you want, whatever
Agreed.
religion you are. So I don't even know why that's even in the conversation. Who cares?
It's because, it's interesting. When I was on my mission for our church in Korea, I battled the Seventh-day Adventists all the time. They would come up to me all the time and go, you're a fake Christian. I'm like, why? Why am I a fake Christian? I don't get it. Because you believe that Jesus is not God. I go, yeah, do we believe Jesus is the Son of God? And we believe that God sent his Son to us to sacrifice himself for our sins. And we believe that the Holy Ghost is also a third entity. Otherwise, why would they, and then I'm like, find myself arguing. I'm like, guys, whether I believe he's three people or one person doesn't make me a better person. There is no circumstance I've thought about this all the way since I was 20 years old when I would battle people in Korea. Okay. Is there a circumstance where me believing three people or one person is Jesus is going to save my life, improve my life whatsoever? Zero. It makes zero sense to even argue that whatsoever. And it's funny that becomes the battle rather than like, wow, somebody was shot, killed. A little girl was shot in her back, right? As she was running away, a little girl was shot in her back. This happened yesterday in a church that Jerry Norton grew up in. It hit really close to home watching Anne Marie. So look, at the end of the day, if you don't like my beliefs that Jesus is one person or three people, I love you all the same. Come give me a hug. I'll give you a hug. It doesn't matter. Okay. It does not matter to me whatsoever. So, Jamil, my friend, the hate it seems prevalent in the world. I don't know if it's prevalent or more abundant than it was 10 years ago, but it does seem like the politicians, the marketers in the world have figured out how to make everything way more divisive and separate us and basically make us hate each other a lot more. However, there are people that seem to be a little bit more prone to hate. Have you ever done research on the energy of hate and where that place comes from? Is it trauma? Is it the energy that's in their life naturally? Is it like, what the heck is up with the people that have so much hate in their heart? They want to go and do these types of things.
You know, it's really interesting that you asked this question, and I've actually really looked at it to try to understand, because the hate can get so intense, right? It can be really, really, really heavy, and it can be really intense, and it can create the things that we've just seen, like happened yesterday, where people are murdering each other for absolutely nothing. And where I think it comes from, Pace, is the lie that we're all separate from each other. That's where I think it comes from. I think it comes from buying into the belief in separation, because at the end of the day, we are all connected. We are all connected to each other. We are all connected to our Creator. And if we saw each other as we saw ourselves, if we saw our Creator as we see each other, then there would never be a justification to hurt you or Jerry or me or anyone for that matter, because it would be hurting myself. I am you. You or me, we are the same. We are made of the same stuff. That is where it comes from. And I think that people who have that hate in their heart, truly, they haven't been able to understand that. I think love and hate are on the spectrum of the same thing. It's just the degree at which that feeling is. Hate and love are on the same line, brother. That's why it can be so intense, because I think somebody who can really, really hate, they probably have a really huge capacity to love as well. They've just been skewed in that polarity. They've been skewed to that direction. And if they could really come to terms with the fact that they are connected to each other, that we're all one thing, I think that hate could become just as strong in love. It's just they haven't had the opportunity for that to be expressed. And I pray grace finds them. I truly do, because I think that we're all savable. I think that everybody, even the ones with massive amounts of hate in their heart, I think grace can find them, and it can crack that heart open, and it can soften it, and it can make it as beautiful as anything. We just have to allow that to happen. And I truly pray that. I pray that for everybody. I pray that for everyone who has division in their heart. Anybody who can look at somebody and say, you're outside of God, because I have a belief that anything that you put outside of God puts you outside of God.
Yeah, it's, some people that don't even believe in God, let's remove God from the equation for a minute, like that whole belief system, right? Do you believe that you live in an abundant world that was created by something other than yourself, even if it was science? The answer has got to be yes. I mean, I walk around on the grass, I look at the trees, I look at this beautiful world we get to live in, and I'm like, I don't know who created this, but I'm grateful to be here.
If you ever see a baby born, how could you not marvel in the miracle of that? Like, right.
If you're ever in the room of a mother, oh my gosh, you're ever in the delivery room of a mother giving birth to a child, there is no more magical place on you weep like a child. In fact, the doctor comes over to you and says, hey, Jerry, it's the baby's turn to cry right now. You don't need to be crying right now. It is hyper emotional. So Nulam Properties, he says, well, we're all here for real estate anyway. It's interesting. The people that win in real estate are the people that are the most kind, loving people, because they build a long-term legacy brand and reputation. The people that do not treat people with love, respect, and adoration and gratitude are the ones that get pushed out of the business, and are also the ones that are like, this business didn't work for me. So I would challenge you to actually have that belief that you think this is all tactics and strategy, when the reality is where you come from and how you treat people is by far the most important cornerstone of this business. I'll give you a good example.
You know what's cool about having your own podcast? You can talk about whatever you want.
That's freaking right, baby. That's freaking right. That's freaking right. Okay, so Jerry, I had this. Can I brag to you, since you're one of my mentors? Can I brag to you that I'm proud of something that happened in my life?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So 2019, I was telling my acquisition team, I said, guys, stop sending me on appointments. I can't be your crutch to close every challenging deal. You got to put yourself in the living room. Stop calling me. So I get a call from Tino the next day. Tino was my acquisition manager in 2019. Calls me up and he goes, man, I know you told me don't call you and don't get you in an appointment, but this lady is in a crap storm like you wouldn't believe. Please. I go, dude, you can handle it. You got it. You've listened to 1,000 of my calls. You've been on 100 of my appointments. Like, let's go, bro. You got this. He goes, no. They have an IRS lien. They're in foreclosure. And they said they believe that this is a scam. I go, oh, send me the address. I'll go. So I go and I meet with Carol Leach. Okay. And if I had my phone with me, my kids have my phone. If I had my phone with me, I'd let you listen to a couple of minutes of this amazing seller appointment I have where she's like, this is a scam. There's no way you can help us. We've been listed with 2 real estate agents. We've been under contract with what we've now found out are called wholesalers 3 different times. But nobody's been able to help us. You already know where I'm going with the type of transaction it ended up being. I talked their IRS lien down from $87,000 to $2,000. I get them out of foreclosure. I buy their house sub 2. I still own the house to this day. It was one of my most favorite transactions I ever did in my life, 2019. Helped this lady like nobody you'd ever seen. It was also the same year I started my YouTube channel. So she was one of the first YouTube videos I ever made was her testimonial about how sub 2 changed her life. Okay, cool. Her and I have kept in contact for years. Like she sends me, I'm sure you guys have sellers and people that do the same thing to you. Like, thank you for treating me like a human when I was in foreclosure. Thank you for treating me like a human when I had $87,000 owed to the IRS. Thank you for treating me like a human, even when I didn't treat you like a human. I told you were a scam artist. I told your acquisition person you were a scam artist. I didn't believe you. The whole time you were in my house, I told you were a liar. There's no way this is possible. You tell me that being Christ-like is not an important attribute to getting deals done. You tell me that, and you will be wrong. You will have basically told me you've never been in a living room of somebody who is in pain, somebody who has no option and wants to point their finger at you, but you have the solution. So what do? I buy her house sub 2. I still own it. It's on Des Moines Street in Mesa, Arizona. Great YouTube video. You guys can type in Pace Morby seller testimonial and she'll pop up. So I walk into my office last week and Jamil's in there teaching 150 brand new sub 2 members how to comp properties. Okay. And there's like people with weeping eyes and getting all emotional. And I walk in the bathroom and I'm going pee and there's a brand new sub 2 student in there going pee. And he goes, man, that story that Carol lady just told us was insane about how you saved her from foreclosure. I'm like, Carol from 2019? What are you talking about, bro? You just watched the YouTube video? He goes, no, man. She's in there right now telling the story.
He had no idea. She joined sub 2.
She joined sub 2. She's in the office learning from Jamil how to comp and do all these things. And she's telling the whole story about how sub 2 changed her life and how she was treated like a freaking human being. And nobody had ever loved her that much. She got to go move to Indiana where her granddaughter was. It allowed her to live her life as a retiree for the last 6 years and watch her granddaughter grow up. And she was like, you were an act of God in my life.
She had said to him, and I was there. I witnessed them reconnecting because he had no idea she was there until they talked, right? And so she's telling the story about how she first meets Pace, she said all the things he said, right? That this can't be real, this isn't going to work. My son thinks this is a scam. Like I'm not sure what to do. Pace said, okay, well, anyhow, this is what my plan is to do, but I'm going to leave now. I have another appointment to go to, but I'm going to be back tomorrow. And sometime around this time. And the entire family was like, he ain't coming back. He's not coming back tomorrow. There's no chance. He can't make this thing work. He can't make this happen. And what does she say? She says, no, something about him. I believe it. I something about him makes me feel like I can trust him. Something about him makes me feel like I can believe him. I think he's coming back. And her son was like, nope. Her husband said, nope, this guy's not coming back. He's like the rest of them. So what does she do? She cooks dinner. She sets the table with a place for Pace to sit. And lo and behold, homeboy strolls in and she's looking at her family like, see, I told you he was going to come. So he has dinner. They go, whatever that is, they eat, they do the thing. And later on, son says to her, well, yeah, he showed up for the free meal, Mom, but there's no way this guy is going to close on this house. There's just no way he can get this done. I mean, everybody's already told us this is impossible. And then when it closed, she called her son and said, I need you to look at this. These are the closing documents. This is what happened. It happened. He did it. And it was, you could see that was a life-changing situation and moment for them because they were in such a bad spot. He did what he would normally do. He came in and he helped. He solved the problem. He figured it out. And you could literally see it. You could literally see it that this entire woman's whole consciousness had shifted. She had shifted as a human being as a result of this. I think, when there's some people that get let down so much by people and the world and things like that, and they get pessimistic. They just feel like there's nothing good left. Nobody does what they say they're going to do. Nobody keeps promises. Nobody shows up. And I think that him doing that rekindled her idea and her faith in the world, honestly, that there are good people, that people will do what they say they'll do, that people will show up, and that they will honor their word. And it was an incredible thing to watch. I was actually in tears myself. I was recording it as they were sitting there up there, as they were up there talking. It was an incredible thing to watch. It really was.
It was interesting too. Like both of you guys have been mentors to me, my best friends in my life. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. Honestly, more important than anybody in my life, you two have been paramount at the top of the mountain of my Mount Rushmore of mentors. And in a lot of ways, just the way you guys live your life. Like Jerry, we came from a very similar background. I always wanted to have 10 kids, and it's not possible for me at this point, but so grateful to have both of you guys. And I remember like when I was making the YouTube content, this was 2019 before you and I became really good friends. I was making this YouTube video going, I hope one day I can show this to a guy I look up to. And I was thinking about Jerry Norton at the time. Like, I'm starting a YouTube channel because I watch Flipping Mastery YouTube channel. And now here I am, fast forward 6 years later, on a podcast with you that I get to hang out with you on Mondays. I get to hang out with your kids. Your kids get to hang out with my kids, vice versa. My wife is texting your wife privately. We've built these great relationships. We now have Jamil getting married, and she, like Saba, who is like now become a de facto member of the family. Guys, I promise you, real estate is a byproduct of being successful in real estate, is a byproduct of basically being around the right people who have the right intentions. And they hold you accountable, number one, not because they say things that hold you accountable. It's because they do things that make you realize that's the life you got to choose. And dude, I'm so eternally grateful for both of you guys. And the fact that we don't go sell soap for a living is just an added benefit. It's like, I remember I got home from my mission. I know, Jerry, you did a bunch of schlepping jobs as well. Like I'm sure you did construction, you did everything under the sun. Jamil, when you found Wholesale, you were selling websites at a loss. Like literally cold calling people trying to sell websites for $600 he was selling websites for like $200 that cost him $600 to put together. Right?
We sold them for $600. They cost us $700 to make. So I lost $100 every sale I made.
That's what he was doing before he found wholesale real estate. And everybody else in the audience right now, you might look at your job right now and you go, I don't find any edification, fulfillment, purpose in what I'm currently doing. I can promise you that real estate is by far the best business to be in because it is a people helping business. If you want a purpose, this is the business for you. If you want freaking cool friends, this is the business for you. And I still to this day have never ran into a business that everybody wins in a transaction. Seller, agent, wholesaler's bird dog, the buyer, everybody wins. And my calculation is the average real estate transaction, 51 people get paid, all the way to the contractors that are doing the renovation, to the lender, to the appraiser, to the home inspector. 51 people get paid every time you do a wholesale transaction. 51 people. So you go, it's interesting. Daje, this girl, she did a bird dog deal for me back in like February. And I take her to the house that she bird dogged to me in March. And that my crew was on site. And I told Chava, my foreman, I said, hey, Chava, this is Daje. She found the deal for us. He comes up, shakes her hand. He says, thank you for supporting my family.
It's so cool.
It is, guys, we are so blessed to be here. And I'm so glad that we get 400, 500, 600 of you guys every Monday freaking night. Just so you know, we have not missed an episode in 5 freaking years.
Pace,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we had an experience recently, and this wasn't my call. It was my business partner, Mark Gabriel, but he calls me up a couple weeks ago, and this is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he says, Jerry, we're in this deal right now. It was pre-foreclosure. The auction date is right at the doorstep right now. And I go to dispo this deal, and the highest paying buyer that we can find, we're short about $4,000 to get the deal done. If we don't close this transaction, she's going to lose this house. And I said, okay, well, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? And he asked me, he says, can we write the check for $4,000 to get this deal done?
Wow.
This is his idea. And I said, Mark, clearly we can't do this every day, but I said, Mark, if you feel like this is the right thing to do, then let's do it. And so we did. We closed. We wrote a check for $4,000 to keep her out of foreclosure. That we did a negative $4,000 wholesale. Buyer bought the property. We stopped the foreclosure, and I thought that was the end of it. I'm like, okay, well, that's awesome. Good for you, Mark. I feel good about this too. And he calls me up like a week later, and he says, hey, Jerry, remember the 4,000 negative deal with pre-foreclosure? Yeah. And he said, well, she just called me. I went on appointment on a different property she owns, and we just signed the contract. And this one's actually going to be like a $20K wholesale deal.
Wow.
And, we didn't do it for that. Like, that wasn't on the table at the time. It wasn't like, oh, well, let's do 2 deals and we'll lose one on it. It wasn't any of that. It was truly just, you're in this spot. We have the ability right now. We feel good about this. We care about you, people over profits. And we put her first. And I love being around people that have that type of attitude. That's how Mark Gabriel is. That's how it is with you, Jamil, and you, Pace, just really pouring into people, loving people, giving your heart and soul in all that you do. And that's why that's why I show up. I want to be around Jamil and Pace, because you are people that give all you've got to what you do. You give your heart and soul to your students and to everybody that you interact with. And that's special to be associated with that and part of that. And guys, if you're not around that, you need to get around that, because it makes all of this different. Everything's different about real estate when it becomes more of a community feeling of helping people, solving problems, growing together, learning together. My wife says something to our kids all the time. She says, you don't earn your way to heaven, you learn your way to heaven.
Oh, that's great.
And what she means by that is, like, we all make mistakes. We all fall down. We help each other get back up. Everyone's in a different place in their journey. And it's all for learning. That's all this is. It's all for learning. How can I be 1% better today than I was yesterday? And if we show up that way, then I think we can really have a big impact in the world.
I want to quickly just highlight, it's not just the 3 heads that you're seeing here right now that have this attitude either. There's people within the communities. And I think, Pace, we've said this lots, but your vibe attracts your tribe. I'm in a deal, or I'm in a situation with Abraham, a Subto, a community member, one of the great leaders in there. he and I do some transactional funding deals every now and again. And there's a $1.6 million deal that we're going to transactionally fund. And yesterday he texts me and says, here's the situation. The title company that we're working with doesn't have the appropriate.
Oh my gosh, I got an email about this today.
Yeah, they don't have the appropriate insurance to really cover this transaction, and I don't feel good about it. And I said, you know what, Abraham, follow your gut. And I think that this one isn't for us. You know, not all money is good money. Let's just bow out of this one, and maybe somebody else will do the deal for them. And so he does the right thing, and he bows out of the transaction. Another transactional lender comes to the table and funds the deal. About 2 hours ago, Abraham sends me a screenshot of the account, and our Flip Cash account has $1.61 million in it. And he says, I was just wired $1.6 million from the title company mistakenly because they were funded that deal that you and I didn't do. And instead of wiring the $1.6 million to the transactional funder who did the deal, they mistakenly wired it to us. And I'm thinking, wow, that could have been us on the other side of that. Now, of course, what are we going to do? Wiring the money right back. It goes out first thing in the morning because that's who we are. We're good human beings. We would never take something we didn't earn. We would never take something that doesn't belong to us, and we would give that money back in a heartbeat. That wouldn't even be a question. But bro, how many people do you know would get a $1.6 million sent to them in the bank and send it back? How many people do that?
Dude, just to be like, I want to put a little nail on this as we wrap up. We've got, we're 3 minutes away from wrapping up. I want to put a little nail on this coffin. So I also get an email from Abraham, right? Who is the person you're on that transaction with. And he says, hey, be really careful right now. We need to put a red alert out to the full community and let them know that there's somebody that is scamming people on transactional funding. And I'm like, okay, do tell, what's going on? He says that there's somebody that is asking for transactional funding for their transactions and then giving false wire information so they can steal people's money.
Wow.
And so just to point that out, you receive $1.6 million accidentally from a title company because they thought that money was supposed to go to you. Imagine the escrow officer that accidentally sent that money is, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Tonight, nobody's sleeping tonight because it was past wire cutoff, right?
Oh, so, dude, they're all sleeping like right now going, are they going to give us the money?
Wires are final. There's no pulling that back. It's in your account.
We truly, everybody's going to be sleepless tonight. There's no chance that the lender, the escrow officer, all these people right now are losing their minds. They are so lucky. They are so lucky with who they're dealing with because, again, we would never steal it. But
dude, there's literally people out there literally setting up scams to allow that money to flow to them. You accidentally received that money, so I can only imagine how they're sweating bullets right now. Oh, yeah. But again, your point is do business with people that you know that you can trust no matter what. No matter what. If something bad goes wrong on a transaction, I was being interviewed by somebody a couple of months ago, and they want to bring like $5 million to the table and lend me money so I can lend it out at a higher rate. And this guy goes, do you mind if I do a background check on you? I go, yeah. And he goes, can I check on your lawsuits? Like I want to read all your lawsuits you've had in the last 5 years. And I go, okay. And he comes back to me and he goes, dude, you have nothing on your background check. You have no complaints. You have no lawsuits. What is going on? I go, well, when you just do business the right way, you're fine. You're taken care of and you have nothing to freaking worry about. There's a reason why I have a smile on my face every single day. There's a reason why Jerry is still popping out kids and making a life of abundance. There's a reason why Jamil is getting engaged to a beautiful, powerful woman. We're living life the way we should be living, guys. And I challenge you guys to do the same thing. But the easiest way to do that is get around 2, 3, or even upwards of 5 people that can hold you accountable by their actions and not by their words. regardless of whether you are Christian, you're not Christian, you're Muslim, you're not Muslim, you're Buddhist or atheist, whatever it is, Wholesale Hotline has love for you, and we will continue to deliver this value to you, no matter how you look at your creator, no matter what your viewpoint is to your creator. We are all brothers and sisters, and we are here to support you in your endeavor to be a real estate investor and get financial freedom. Jamil Damji, I love you. Jerry Norton, I love you. Wholesale Hotline. We are here every Monday freaking night at 5 p.m. Arizona time, and we've been here for 5 years. We will continue to deliver to you. Please send us all DMs, Instagram, Jerry Norton or Flipping Mastery. Jamil Damji is J Damji on Instagram. I am Pace Morby on Instagram. Send us a DM. Let us know what you'd like the topic of next week's Wholesale Hotline to be, and we'll jump into some nitty gritty. And in the meantime, between now and then, go into the channel, type in Wholesale Hotline, and then whatever your question is, chances are out of 290 episodes,
Jeez,
we have answered your question. You just got to go find it. But hopefully we can rehammer it home next month or next Monday. Wholesale Hotline, 5 p.m. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.